What is the worst thing that is legal? The size of the X button on pop-up ads. X buttons that do nothing. Also the color, which often blends into the background so you can't see it easily. Hearing a honking sound in a radio commercial. Or sirens. How about 10 minutes of commercials every 15 minutes? Impossibly hard to cancel subscriptions. It should be law that you can cancel the same method you used to sign up. I hate when companies make you call in to cancel, instead of just offering an option to cancel online. Caller ID spoofing. Somebody spoofed my number and my name came up on the caller ID apparently. I got a text from some irritable person demanding why I was harassing them. I tried to explain what spoofing was, but they sent me the screenshot of my name on their caller ID and asked if it was me. I imagine this person googled me and did all kinds of shit and decided I was the bad person in this. I feel like my privacy was totally violated. I agree wholeheartedly. It's one thing to just block your number like we used to as kids. But it's different when someone is pretending to have a completely different number. Marital rape and honor killings in countries like the one I live in, generally the Middle East. Most of that stuff is in the process of being banned now, thank God. When I was in middle school/high school, they tried to introduce a law that said a girl must be 18, I think, to be married. The men of the government and religious officials objected so hard, that the law got thrown out. This was the year after the story came out about that one 9-year-old kid that was forced into a marriage and the man would chain her and whatnot. I don't think honor killings are legal, they're just socially acceptable in some cultures. But it's starting to change. Socks, fits size 6 to 12 bullshit. Also unrealistically low serving sizes on packs of crisps or candy. They do this just so they can put the number of calories/fat/sugar per serving as a lower number. Not the worst thing, but it used to be illegal for commercials on TV to be louder than the actual show, but not any longer suddenly. Honestly, all of TV and movies seem to have gotten shitty recently with their audio levels. It seems even in every movie I watch now you can't hear them while they're talking, but explosions are louder than actual explosions. TV and cinema need to learn about normalizing their audio. I get it, you want an action scene to be loud and intense, but I also want to be able to watch a movie with the wife without waking my 6-year-old up. I hate watching a good show that I don't want someone else to hear at night and then it goes to ads and blows the speakers out. It's infuriating. The troubled teen industry. Parents pay a company to kidnap kids while they're sleeping and send them off to therapeutic boarding schools where they are abused in every conceivable way. It's fucked. Had a couple of friends that this happened to when I was a teenager. I know for one of them, it was basically a police raid/kidnapping. 4 big dudes showed up at his house to get him and he even tried to run from them. They chased him down, tackled him, and threw him in a van. I was much worse at that age than any of those kids ever were. The fact that my mom never even considered anything like that is something that makes me realize how shitty it was of me to act the way I did. My mom and I have a great relationship now, BTW. Wait. What? My brain is so confused. This exists? Like, sure, troubled teen boarding school, probably a super fucked place, but whatever, I get how it can exist. It's that kidnapping part I'm pretty confused by. A parent keeping their kid from the other parent when there's no good reason to and leveraging the courts to do it. This enrages me so much. How many parents have practically lost their children to narcissists and psychopaths because of this? And because the kids get brainwashed out of a relationship, it's hard to ever get in touch again, even when they have grown out of the other one's reach. I mean, technically this is illegal. At least that's the intention, I guess. It's just that people use loopholes and manipulate the system to their favor. Multi-level marketing. But hon, don't you want to be your own boss babe for life by sharing and distributing our detoxing nutrition drinks that give you 6 of your 5 a day/s? Hello. Do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior? Vector marketing. It's fun, flexible, and you can gain dollar income and experience. Just buy a set of our Cutco knives for only $800. You can get a payment plan with just an 18% April that we can take out of your earnings, to show off to your friends and family. Every knife you sell is 10% wholesale price, money in your pocket. Just prick your finger and sign in blood on the bottom line. Being penalized for calling out sick from work. Edit. Even while the whole world is trying to survive this pandemic, we're still dealing with this major issue by employers. I work in healthcare, and I feel like I get shamed by my managers and co-workers when you call out. Especially when you work night shift. Within the last year or so we had a new boss come in and take over operations at my office. One of the first things she did was scrap the whole "you have X amount of points you're allowed to call out in a year" policy that has been in place for forever. She set it up so that you aren't penalized for calling out, only repeat patterns. Say you keep calling out every Monday for a month. She will then get in contact with you to understand why and see if you want to switch one of your days off to Monday. Everyone at my office agrees that she's done wonders to reduce the stress with little things like that. Honestly surprised more companies don't follow that idea. I once worked at an Old Navy for a few months. I was one of their best workers and all the managers, there were like 6, loved me. But I got sick and had to call out for just 2 days. 2 days. And the scheduling manager gave me 4-6 hours a week for months after. I couldn't afford to eat for months because she was punishing me for being sick for 2 days. Even the other managers would question why I wasn't working as much and I'd just shrug and tell them to ask the scheduling manager. I eventually had to quit and move states to go back to live with my parents because, even with free housing, living with a very generous friend, I couldn't afford to live on my own. Congress members being able to trade stocks at the same time they are receiving intelligence and passing laws that could affect the performance of said stocks. This isn't legal, they're just never actually held accountable, which makes it even more infuriating. Scam calls and solicitation calls. I swear they used to be illegal at one point. Scam calls are not legal. They just know how to not get caught. They are illegal, they just don't care because it's very hard to stop them. Scam calls, that is. For-profit prisons. I used to lobby at the state level. For-profit prisons would literally lobby against things like early child education and paid family leave because, well, it's bad for business. And to be clear, I did not lobby for private prisons, but did lobby for things like paid family leave and early childhood education. Can we add hospitals? Child beauty pageants. They are illegal in France since 2013. I had the misfortune of witnessing one of these firsthand. About 15 years ago when I was a personal trainer, I shit you not, one of my clients wanted me to train her daughter, 10 at the time I think, to look good in her beauty pageants. I had to tell her no because not only was resistance training bad for a person that young, and illegal too where I worked, but I was not willing to travel as she wanted me to train her at home. She did not like that answer. She begged me to come to one of these pageants and I consistently declined every time. Well, one day when it came time for me to collect payment from her, she didn't show up for her session. When I called her she told me she had my check but she was just too busy to run by the gym to drop it off. Obviously there were policies in place to eventually collect the money from her but it would take forever and I would most likely never see a dime of it. She told me to come by a pageant where she was and pick up the check. So, being the young and energetic kid I was, I said fine, thinking it would be a quick stop, just get the check and be on my way. She tells me the address and gives the impression she will meet me at the front with the check. When I get there, she's nowhere in sight. This was roughly 2005 so I had a flip phone, texting wasn't much of a thing yet. I called her and she said to come in and give my name at the door and she would find me. I give my name at the door and they hand me a guest pass with my name already printed on it. Clearly she planned this. So I go in and it felt like walking into the fucking Twilight Zone. This was at the convention center of some fancy hotel, can't remember which one, so it was nice inside, but the experience, holy god. First thing I noticed was the music. It just sounded like shit you'd hear in a strip club. Next I noticed how many super overweight middle-aged people were there. I mean, I live in America so it's not uncommon to see big people, but I swear it was like every single fucking adult there was morbidly obese. As a trainer at that time, it was kinda disturbing. Also, no one was happy. I noticed a lot of adults arguing, and the ones who were cheering sounded fake. It was super weird. Then I saw the children. It was exactly like what I saw on TV. Little girls who someone made up to look like grown women, in a completely inappropriate way. One girl was wearing a bikini with cowboy boots and a cowboy hat, WTF. I had never seen anything remotely close to this in my life, so I felt like I was in some type of fucked alternate dimension where shit like this was normal. Next to me in the crowd was this lady talking to who I assume was her daughter, telling her to recite her lines back to her, whatever that meant. The little girl, who looked about 8 years old, was covered in heavy spray tan and wearing an ungodly amount of makeup for a girl her age. She looked like the child equivalent to a hooker, no joke. There was a girl on stage doing what I assume was some kind of routine, and she was strutting and dancing like a stripper. I don't know how else to explain it. Oddly enough, when I looked out in the crowd, no one was really paying attention to her. They were either speaking to their own daughter or they were in conversation with someone else. This made it even more bizarre. So there I am. Just came from work, so I'm wearing workout clothes. I'm also covered in tattoos, so I stand out like a sore thumb. I'm walking around everywhere asking if anyone has seen my client. I keep calling her with no answer. Finally I spot her in a hallway and run up to her. At this point I'm so weirded out and all I want to do is leave so bad. I'm trying to be as polite as possible and smile and say yeah, this is really cool, and just find a way to get my check and leave. She tells me she wants me to meet her daughter, who is backstage, which is just the hallway outside the back entrance to the convention room. Her daughter is wearing a full-blown ballroom gown, I guess that's what it's called. Like the dress Belle wears in Beauty and the Beast, with the long white gloves and all that. She's covered in makeup and looks very uncomfortable. Her mom introduces me as the man who is going to be training her. The little girl has no expression other than discomfort. Finally the mom gives me my fucking check and I had to ask her why she told her daughter I would be training her after I repeatedly told her no. She acted like she didn't know what I was talking about and continued to try and coax me into doing it. After I left I just remember thinking I can't wait to tell my friends about this shit, they're gonna laugh their asses off with me, which they did. However, a couple people I know told me they had relatives who did this with their daughters and had been to them before, and yep, that's exactly what they're like. I was fucking dead. What a complete and total fucking wacko world that was. At the time, I couldn't even tell if the kids were enjoying it, but looking back now it was clearly a bizarre form of child abuse, and the obese parents who exploited their children were complete psychopaths. Fucking weird. Just look at how long the Wikipedia page for sexualization in child beauty pageants is. Still legal. Agreed. Plus, they're really creepy. Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.